Hello. I mentioned in one of my earlier videos that I'll share with you a story about listening and what it can do to someone. Before I share the story, let me share a real life experience with you. There are two relatives, one in India, one overseas. There's a time difference. And the person who is overseas feels a little lonely there, wants to connect. And what happens is the only medium of communication that is available is to call through various platforms. So that call comes and the person who is here listens to the other person with full attention, with empathy. And what's the benefit? That the other person, because there's time difference, it's time to sleep there when we wake up here. Because of that conversation, the person who is overseas is able to sleep well. Just because the feeling that comes is that I have been listened to, I have been able to share my feelings, my emotions, and that gives the feeling of being relaxed in mind and leading to better quality of sleep. Listening can do this. Right? It's a sign of loving, it's a sign of healing. That's what I said in my first video on listening. Now comes the story. Have you heard this name Viktor Frankl, Dr. Viktor Frankl? He was a psychologist and he was part of those concentration camps, and he had experienced a lot of misery there. And after everything got over, he started his practice. One night, he gets a call. Past midnight, around 2 a.m., he gets a call from a lady. And what does that lady say? That lady says that I want to commit suicide. Now, Dr. Viktor Frankl was startled. But being a psychologist, the only thing that he could do was to encourage the other person or keep engaging in the conversation so that the other person drops that idea. And he keeps on engaging in conversation, keeps on giving reason after reason after reason that this is the reason you should not commit suicide. This is the reason you should not commit suicide. And the conversation continued. And after about 3 hours of conversation, that lady promised that, rest assured, I'll not do that. The conversation that I started with, I'll not commit suicide. Rest assured, you can rest and relax. He got that assurance and the call got over. And when later Dr. Viktor Frankl met that lady, he was able to recognize, and he asked her, which was the reason that convinced you that you should not commit suicide? I gave you so many reasons. So which was the reason that you took a decision not to commit suicide? That lady said, none of those reasons. And now again, Dr. Viktor, he got kind of surprised and shocked. What is it? Obviously, there was so long a conversation that one of those reasons must have convinced her. But she said, none of those reasons. Then he asked, then what was the reason? The lady said, the reason was that you were listening to me. I felt that at the dead of night, if there is someone who has enough patience to listen to me for 3 long hours, I'm sure the world is worth to live in for much longer period. Because you listened to me, I took a decision not to commit suicide. So, friends, it can change decisions of people. And the only thing that is required, now I am bringing another dimension here. The only thing that it requires from your end is that you will need to invest a little extra time with that person to listen to that person. as you commit that time, whether that person is your spouse or your child or your parent or your juniors, your team members or your seniors, whosoever that person is, you may need to invest a little bit of extra time to demonstrate that you are listening. Become better listener, make this world a better place to live in.